Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
You're listening to Transcending Sport on Wisp Sports. I'm Chris Stafford.
Don't know how long it's been, I guess it doesn't matter. We've had our thick and thin, enough to know that I would rather not go through life without you.
Transcending Sport tells the stories of women who have given back to sport to help each other in different ways. From organizations to campaigns, business to sports administration, charities and media initiatives.
And in the end, I'm just glad we're friends.
My guest today is Samantha Livingstone, who has truly transcended sport since retiring from swimming as a member of the US national team. Her career highlights include the 2000 US Olympic team when she was 18 years old. She won a gold medal at the 2000 Sydney Olympics after swimming the lead-off of the record-setting 4x200-metre freestyle relay. She was also on the 1999 US Pan-Pacific team and ended her career as a 7 times NCAA All-American champion after leading her teammates to the 2005 National Championship title as the co-captain of the Georgia Bulldogs. Samantha has not been without her struggles, though, both physically and mentally. She battled an eating disorder, depression, PTSD, and a shoulder injury. But today, Sam, along with her husband Rob, operate Livingstone High Performance and Livingstone Speed Academy, providing high-performance coaching, sports performance training, and empowerment with mindset training. She's also the founder of Brave Leaders Academy, an empowerment coaching program. Samantha's also the mother of 4 girls, one of whom survived a life-threatening heart condition. And Sam joins me now to tell us about the work she's doing and what's important to her. How do you fit everything into your day, even?
Oh, lots of list making.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And an amazing planner pad. And I actually, and of course, that pull to do all and be all things, saying no. Right, I mean, saying no to say yes to things that really matter.
Yeah, that's important, isn't it? When you have a busy life, juggling being a wife and a mum and running your business and coaching and, all the gazillion things that you do. We, of course, heard from you on FemPower some weeks ago now, some months ago, in fact. You were one of the guests of Kristen Chef-Tunis and Carolyn Joyce on their new show. And at that point, when I was introduced to you, I thought, okay, this is somebody we want to hear more from. So I thought it was time that I circled back around and got you on the Transcending Sports show, because it's a little while now since you retired. Just remind everyone when you did retire from being a competitive swimmer, Sam.
In 2005, I finished up my last year at college and retired. Retired, hung up my goggles.
Hung up your goggles, yeah.
When I graduated, yeah.
Do you miss it?
Oh, I miss the competitive outlet. So I find it in new ways. I miss that. I miss the pushing the edge and putting myself in a situation where you're just testing the limits of the physical body. So there's parts of it I miss. And then there's parts I don't miss. So I think, and I also think that looking back, you kind of some of the hard stuff drifts from your memory, and you hold on to the stronger, more positive memories, and so there's that longing for it. But I still get excited when I smell chlorine. So. Oh,
do you?
Yeah.
The chlorine fix.
Right? It's so funny. It does it because it brings back memories.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll forever be in your memory bank. And I suppose really, aside from rolling out of bed at dark 100 every day, to go training, there's also the adrenaline, and that, as you say, the competitive side of being an athlete, that it fires you up, doesn't it? It's something that triggers you. It's in your DNA, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I see it in my girls. I have in my 4 daughters. So the endorphins. I physically moving my body helps me feel good, and working hard and just the idea of a challenge and then working toward the challenge and working toward goals that it legitimately, there are neurotransmitters. I mean, every time you cross a goal off or check something off a list, you get a blast of dopamine in your brain. So that's real. Yeah. It's real. And I think as I've learned and understood that, come to understand how that works, I've been able to tailor my life to help me, so I don't have swimming anymore, but I found other vehicles. And I would say building a business and being an entrepreneur is absolutely, it taps into some of those pieces for sure.
Does it replace it though? Do you feel the need to get out there doing a sport that will stretch you even more?
It doesn't replace it, right? So it's not the same. And I think there's different challenges. It brings a different element to it because it's challenging me in other ways. It's not so physical. That piece isn't there. So I have to, for my own mental wellness and for me to feel filled and, just to feel grounded and alive, I need to move my body. And so for me, it took me a little while because you retire and I was like, what is exercise? It was this question and concept that it was so unfamiliar to me because I had competed for so many years of my life.
Yes. All
of the life that I remembered, from 5 on, not in just swimming, but in soccer and other sports. And so I think I first tried to replace the swimming piece by running races, like signing up for half marathons and 10Ks and 5Ks and just get out and doing something, going into a race setting. And I realized I didn't really love that. I love running and the feeling I get after running, but I wasn't enjoying, it wasn't filling me in the same way. So then I had to it's taken me years to navigate and find sort of the magic space of what combination of things physically helps me to feel alive. And so for me, it's lifting and spinning and running and getting outside and moving my body in that way. So that's a long answer to your question, but it was a long journey to get here to this place where I feel happy and feel like I'm tapping into it and I don't need the sport anymore.
Is it an individual sport you prefer, or do you think a team sport would challenge you? Because let's face it, with the girls, you could virtually start your own six-a-side soccer team, right?
We could do a basketball team right now with 5 of us. So, I do. It's funny you say that because my oldest is playing real soccer now. She's now 8.5, so it's not the chase the ball soccer. It's the actual, game.
So you're a real soccer mom now.
Yes, and I love soccer. Was my first passion, and it was a really hard moment for me when I gave that up to choose swimming. And so there's part of me that absolutely misses that and misses being outside and working with a team. And even though swimming was individual, there was that piece that I did not appreciate until I didn't have it, which was the connection and that power of being together with 30 other women working toward the same goal. So my husband was a baseball player and a hockey player, and we go back and forth about team and individual sports all the time.
Okay, interesting conversation, I'm sure of it.
Oh, it is, yeah.
and of course, there is what sport gave to you. In some ways took away, some ways challenged you with your mental challenges along the way there, Sam, that you've been very public about. It's been a long journey for you. You found a way forward to cope with this. Does having sport in your life, is that important as part of that journey and that sort of rehabilitation and the process of coping with it on a day-to-day basis? Is that important?
Oh, totally. Yeah. So, and I don't know how much detail we have time to get into here, but I am not shy about sharing that I've battled mental illness. It's part of me and part of my wall. It's, if we look at people as icebergs, what we see is above the water. It's the surface, when we have interactions or even social media, and what's underneath is struggles often hidden. And it's taken me years and lots of healing and almost losing one of my daughters when she was 1 year old, to really dig in and do the healing work, to understand that, yeah, these are part of my challenges, and our power lies in our response. And for me, understanding how to use exercise and the movement of my physical body to help ground me has been, I would say, honestly, one of the most, second to gratitude and anchoring in gratitude, the most powerful rising tool that's in my toolbox, is that movement and being active. Yeah.
So you found a way, as I said, to go forward with your life now in a healing way and in a very constructive, productive way. And I want to talk about how you channel your energies now and use your experiences from being a professional athlete to helping others, not just in performance coaching, but with the mindset training and that sort of thing. Just talk a little bit about why you seem to want to follow that calling when you did, why that was leading you on, so to speak.
Oh, there's so much here. I'm so passionate about it. I was 18 years old when I stood atop the Olympic podium and won a gold medal, or was part of a relay. And that moment, I'd been working toward that dream for 10 years. And then 4 years later, was coming out of, that after that podium moment was a big slide into, a free fall into a darkness where I needed to heal from shoulder surgery, spent 2 years out of the water battling depression and an eating disorder, and finally climbed my way back to the top of another podium, which was at NCAA's. And it was this process of falling into this darkness, into this space, and then, literally rising from the rubble. And each time that I have traveled into that darkness, I've learned something new and something more and gained greater awareness about myself. And so 13 years after retiring, or after winning a gold medal, it was in 2013. So it was 8 years after retiring from sport when Mia had her open heart surgery and we almost lost her. And at that point, I'm I have a master's in education, right from the podium at NCAA's and winning a national championship my senior year. I was like straight into the classroom, full throttle, and coaching swimming. And I thought that was my track and my path. And then with the job change for my husband, he's in the athletic arena as well. He's a strength and conditioning coach. It moved us to the Northeast into New England, and that took me out of the classroom. And so there was this window of time where I wasn't sure if I was going to go back into the classroom or what I was going to do, but my focus became raising my kids. And then Mia's surgery happened, and that changed everything. And what I realized through the process of healing, truly, and learning how to live with trauma and healing wounds that had been left open from the time that I was standing atop the podium when I was 18, that 18-year-old girl hadn't fully healed, battling that voice of that inner critic that drove the eating disorder. And so doing that work and learning what I've learned and seeing that there are certain things that we can control and there are certain things that we cannot, and understanding the difference that's where our power is. And that is what drives me, because I can't go back to my younger self, but I absolutely can pay forward what I know now so that there isn't another 18-year-old girl or 16-year-old girl or, 22-year-old woman who's standing atop that podium feeling so empty and alone and broken. Or maybe not even atop the podium, just showing up at her sport. So I think what drives me is really the absolute core of it is in the work I do is to let female athletes and women know that they are not alone ever, and that they are worthy without conditions, regardless of what they achieve in the athletic arena. And when we can sit in that space, it frees us to accomplish that much more. So it's like, I could go on. I think that for me, the pay forward comes from wanting to give back and pay forward these lessons that I wish, permission slips I wish were given to me back then, that I can do now because I have the skill set to teach it.
Well, the other aspect of being a professional athlete, especially when you get on top of an Olympic podium, Sam, as you know, you are reaching the pinnacle of your career. This is it. You've arrived. It doesn't get any better than this. And then there's the day after, the week after, the month after, when you're coming down from that high. And it may be the end of your career. That may be your swan song, or it may be that after that you've struggled to find form again. You just never get back to that form that you felt for that race. And then, there may be other factors as well, injuries that come in the way after, reaching the top of your career. and it becomes a personal struggle then, because you have more in that case. I'm just curious as to how you coped with being on top of the world and then being in the valley again.
Oh man. So that's that. And so another piece of why I do the work I do is because in telling my story and healing and choosing to be vulnerable and all of those things, I cannot tell you how many other people who were literally side by side, some shared locker rooms with me, who felt such similar struggle, who were in it too. And so like there are three themes that come up for me from these moments of being named to a national team, or even hitting a goal, achieving or accomplishing a season goal, or winning a tournament, whatever it might be, that you hit this milestone. And then there's this space of what next, and who am I, and can I sustain this? Can I repeat this fear of, will I be able to do that again? Do I have what it takes to repeat that? And then, kind of after that comes this layer of this imposter and feeling like a fraud, that you didn't quite earn it, or it was a fluke or a mistake and it didn't really happen. And for those that may have never experienced those things, it sounds wild and crazy if you had told me that might have been my experience or was going to be my experience after winning. And that is shared. I can tell you from the work I've done with teams of women, and it's like you're not alone in that. And those feelings and emotions, and really learning naming them, and then the stories that we tell ourselves and saying, oh yeah, like I've told myself that story too, and then grounding that in reality. And the core for me of all of that is understanding the separation between who we are and what we do. So swimming is something that I did. It wasn't who I was. It's not who I am. And that is really, really hard when you're in the trenches and committed to it, and it's such a huge piece of your day. But the danger in coupling that, right, making it your identity, is that it's great when things are going well. But then when things don't go well, you're hinged both ways. And so, you're great when things are, swimming fast or performing well. And then when things aren't, you're not great, you're not enough. And so unhinging those pieces is really, that's the work. That's the work.
It's interesting you should say that, Sam, because on another show here on Wisp Sports, Siri Lindley and Rebecca Keat are both world champion triathletes. They are both retired and now have a coaching business, and they are very clear in defining that being a world champion triathlete is not who we are. This is who we are, and they're transitioning to that as well. We often hear that it's important to distinguish, and I know from my own experience, I grew up as a horsewoman, and that was my life. That totally, and I thought that's who I was. But since I had to retire from riding through injuries back in the 80s, now late 80s, I had to find out who I was, and I have in new ways. But at the time, you think, when you're younger, you think, well, this is who I am, and this is who I want to be for the rest of my life. And then, clearly it isn't. You find that anything, and I say this when I talk to young people too, be sure that you have a second string to your bow. Think of what else you would like to do in case one day you fall off a horse and you cannot get back on again. And when you're a teenager, you think, oh, of course I will be able to. You think you're unbeatable. But eventually, to use that metaphor, we inevitably do fall off the horse, and we cannot get back on again. So it is important to find out who you are and what else you want to do in life. So I'd like to use this as a transition, Sam, for you to just, if you would, explain to our listeners what it is you're doing now with your organizations to utilize everything that you've learned and the journey that you've been on. Tell us about that.
Yes, thank you. One thing that comes up for me, I want to talk to you about going backward, is that sport is a vehicle for us to tap into the magic that is our dreams and our, and I think that being able to understand that helps us with the identity piece. And so how I spread these messages and teach is I do keynotes. So I'm a speaker, and I also run workshops. That's one of my favorite things to do, retreat style, working with teams and organizations, and part talk, part let's get in there and practice. Let's work through some of these questions and modules and exercises that help you gain the skills and awareness to do this hard work, right? To figure out what it is who you are and what it is that you really want and what is standing in your way. So I travel and do in-person events, and I also have an online academy where I serve women who are ready to quiet the noise, because that noise in our heads and out there, right, gets really loud sometimes. And so in the online academy, I just wrap my arms around women who are ready to do that hard work, do the brave work of stepping in unapologetically to who they are and helping them build the tools, that toolbox, so that they have the rising skills that I believe give us the confidence to do what it is that we love and live a life that we love. And so those are the main ways. And I also work privately with clients in a one-on-one coaching. I do high performance coaching, and I work with a handful of athletes competing at the world-class level. And part of this and the work that I do has been, in healing and reflecting back. There was always this lingering question, like, will it work? Like, will it work if we separate ourselves from our sport? Will it work if we do these permission slips? And I can tell you, it's transformed how they show up in their arena. It's an honor to work with them. So I do my speaking and workshops, and then my academy and the private coaching. And I'm now in the process of, my husband, mentioned earlier, is in strength and conditioning. And I'm like, my goodness, why have we not teamed up? So we are in the process of building an academy for high school athletes to help them break through and support them. One of the keystones of my work is this mind, body, soul connection. And so he's got the physical body piece, right, in the weight room and with the strength and conditioning and nutrition and all of that. And I, the mind and the soul. So we're going to be fusing and intertwining our worlds to create a space for high school athletes that we're really, really excited about. So yeah, lots going on, and it's work. I pinch myself because I'm like, it doesn't feel like work. Yeah.
It isn't. And I'm sure with the high school athletes, then you're both going to embrace, boys and girls equally.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because we often hear that
vulnerability is not just for women.
Yes, and we often hear about those middle school, high school years where then they are lost to sport. They get so many options now, so many choices in life that they duck out of sport. So this may help them, putting your arms around all of those aspects of at the most vulnerable and difficult time of your life. You don't think of it at that time. You think you're unbeatable, but in fact, in retrospect, it is a very hard time to be a teenager, isn't it?
Yes, and I think that with the leadership, I don't know if you've seen what Kevin Love has put out with the professional basketball player, but to see that it's not just this courage thing, this vulnerability thing is not just for women. It's and I think I'm trying to think of who the other person. I'm blanking on the name of the basketball player that they've come together. They've done videos on it, sharing he deals with mental health challenges as well, and talking about it, giving that the power of story gives our kids, like, they're watching us and how we respond to challenges. So if we're not letting them see us fail, and they're not going to be able to see us rise and learn how to do that for themselves.
Absolutely. We have to be that role model, obviously. And we could unpack this. There's so many more layers to all of this, Sam. And, I'd love to hear more about it. So we have, before we came on air, we should share the conversation that we had just briefly. So as to why we wanted to combine this podcast as a way of introducing a new idea that Sam and I are going to roll out here in the weeks to come, of going on Facebook Live, utilizing Facebook Live on With Sports, and sharing it on Sam's pages to unpack these aspects of what you're doing, Sam, in more detail. So it would be kind of a series. We haven't firmed anything up yet, everybody. So if you're listening to this thinking, okay, because the podcast will be out there forever, but by the end of next week, we'll probably have a good idea of what that series will look like, Sam.
I'm so excited.
And I think,
and opening it up and just the dialogues, that's conversation and connection are so powerful. And I really, empowering and equipping with skills, like equipping each other, sharing what we know. There's so much to it. I'm so excited.
There really is. And we're going to put our collective heads together and come up with a plan that we will roll out on Facebook Live. We'll probably hop on sometime next week to introduce you to both of us and Sam's idea of how this will look, and then give you an idea of time frame and schedule for the series. So join us again on Facebook Live. I will be posting that on our social media when and where Sam and I will begin this conversation. So, Sam, I think with that in mind, just any final thoughts about what you're doing now and where people can find you, and I think just to give them an idea of where they can go from this conversation before we start our Facebook Live sessions.
So I'm on SamanthaLivingstone.com. And I love connecting with people. I, send an email, and you can find me also on Facebook. So it's at S Livingstone Wellness. And I don't know if you have show notes that you can put the links down there. For people. So, and Samantha Arsenault Livingstone, I'm on Facebook. So I'm on Facebook as me, and then I have my page as well where I share on both, in both spaces. And then I've started on Twitter, and I'm such a rookie, and I give myself permission to be a rookie over there. And that is Samantha AL4. And then on Instagram, it's S Livingston with no vowel. So I'll have to write it out. We'll have to write it out in the show notes. But I think you can search Samantha Livingstone, and it's at SLIVINSTN. Yeah. And and on my website, there are a couple free gifts. So I have on my homepage, perfectionism, we didn't really get into it here, but that was ultimately at the root of what was causing so many of my struggles, including my eating disorder and the never enoughness. And I have a free gift that's right there on that homepage that you can download. And it's my roadmap, 5 stops of how I really shed the perfectionist shield and found freedom.
We could drill down there, couldn't we? Lots of longer conversations here, and that we're going to save that all for you for Facebook Live and explore this in some detail. So, Sam, lovely to catch up with you again. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
And then we'll see you again on Facebook in the coming weeks here, and you'll get to find out a lot more about what Sam can offer with everything she talked about on the show today. Sam, we'll see you over there then in a few weeks, and thanks so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
And as I mentioned, you can find links to all of Sam's social media as well as her website on the show notes accompanying this episode at wispsports.com. Just look for Transcending Sport under Listen. And you can follow us on social media, of course, at Wisp Sports. We're on all the major platforms. Do join in the conversation on any of those platforms, including Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. You can post comments, questions, or suggestions. Or if you prefer to email us directly, our address is info@wispsports.com. And you can hear a lot more stories about inspiring women in our Transcending Sports series here on Wisp Sports. That's all with the show notes. You'll find a link there to other episodes, as well as on your podcast player. Wherever you listen to podcasts, just look for Wisp Sports. Again, don't forget to join Sam and me on Facebook Live. If you're on Facebook, be sure to set the notifications when you go to Wisp Sports to find out when we are live. That's all in the next few weeks. There are a lot of other conversations on Facebook Live that you can hear about with athletes, coaches, and women in the sports business from around the world. So join us on Facebook Live and also on your podcast player at Wisp Sports. Until the next time, thank you for listening. Goodbye for now.